Today I want to share a very powerful statement that, when applied to the majority of situations in your life, whether they are problems, circumstances, issues, or relationship challenges, when you apply the statement, it makes you that much smarter, better, and empowered coming out of that situation. And this one statement is this: you are my teacher. The statement was shared to me by my grandfather. He's the first person that introduced me to philosophy and introduced me to this statement as a young boy. Now, I didn't understand the power of this statement, the full power of this statement, until later on in my mid-20s. I was very much an adamant learner in my teens and in my early 20s, but from dealing with difficult situations, it really didn't hit me until my mid-20s how powerful this statement really was or is. And once I started to apply this statement to as many situations as I could, I became that much better and I became that much stronger. And most of the negative or challenging situations in my life have taught me something that has enabled me to expand and grow as an individual. And I truly believe that the number one skill that a person and that a human being can have to be successful, to perform at their highest potential, and ultimately win in all areas of their life is the ability to learn. So why is this statement so powerful? It's extremely powerful for this one reason, because when you open up to a situation, even if it's the most difficult situation that you can imagine, and you ask or you make the statement, you are my teacher, you open yourself up to learning. You open your brain up to learning. You open your heart up to learning, as opposed to dealing with a conflict or a situation like, how do I protect myself? That in itself will block you from learning. Most people go into a challenging situation with defensiveness. When you go into a challenging situation with openness, now I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way. That's not what I'm saying. But from a psychological harm perspective, most people are very defensive, and that stops people from learning. And what we do know by studying the brain and science and psychology is that when people are open to learning, when they approach a situation with the intent of learning, they will learn more than people who don't have that intent, that go through very similar situations. So if you are learning, if everything around you is your teacher, and you are learning something as a result of that, you are going to get stronger and better. When you put two people side by side, and one person is using the statement, you are my teacher, and the other person is dealing with negative situations just as most people do, the person who is using the statement is going to outperform the other person because they are going to be on a continuous learning path. That's how powerful this statement is. And I can share with you that it hasn't always been an easy exercise to do. I have difficult situations as well. I deal with difficult people. I had this the other day where someone was just really pushing my buttons and pushing my buttons purposely. And I rarely get angry. I really don't get angry very much, but this person was getting me angry. And not for the sake of reacting, but for the sake of standing my ground, I had to have a firm response back. And in that situation, I did not like how I felt, but I had to ask myself this question, tell myself the statement, which was, you are my teacher. And just by shifting into the statement, I was able to open my mind and find those little nuggets, those tidbits of knowledge and insight and data and information that enabled me to also look inside and say, why am I getting triggered as a result of this? So that's what it ultimately does, is enables you to find that data and find that information that most people won't be able to see, because when you're in a state of disempowerment or negativity or defensiveness or fear or anger, you're not able to see that information that is required to actually learn and get better. We know this through studies, that when people are in a more optimistic state, they are also more creative. So this enables you to come up with creative solutions as well. So this is something that is so simple, but I felt that I had to share it with you, because when I do this work with individuals and I get them to use this statement over and over and over again in their most difficult situations, they come out of those situations, I would say most of the time, over 3/4 of the time, learning something that has benefited them in the end. So that difficult situation has actually been a benefit to them. So that's your one challenge for today. What is that difficult situation that you came across either earlier on today, or perhaps you're going to come across one later on today, where you are going to use a statement, "You are my teacher." And what are you going to learn from that?